Iguodala to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up. It's good. Kyrie Irving from downtown. The three, steps back, crossover, puts up a three. Rebound James. Second. It's over. It's over. Cleveland is a city of champions once again. The Cavaliers are NBA champions.
Cleveland! This is for you!
What's up, Cavs fans? Welcome to another edition of the Block the Shot to Stop, Cleveland Cavaliers podcast, brought to you by the wonderful people at the Blue Wire Podcast Network. I am Tim Daniel. Joining me tonight is Kevin Lynch. Kevin, we are talking about, of course, a bummer of a night in Houston tonight in H-Town as the Cavs take a 109-108 loss. And normally when we do these game recaps, we just kind of go through quarter by quarter by quarter. I feel like we really just kind of have to go to the last 7 minutes of the game to kind of really start the show this time around, because that was a mess. Obviously, Cleveland starts the third quarter, goes into the fourth quarter down 11, and then they kind of go a little bit back and forth. They go on a huge 19-0 run to take the lead. We have Sam Merrill almost get a dunk. I feel like we got to make sure we mention that. Shout out to Sam Merrill on that. And then Houston comes back, takes the lead. Cleveland gets the lead again. Şengün has literally completely shoves with two hands Jared Allen into Dylan Brooks, who Allen ricochets off of Brooks. Brooks kind of gets taken back as well. They review it, say there's no flagrant contact there, which whatever. And then Cleveland comes down and Mitchell makes an awesome play to get which originally called a foul, to get the ball out of Amen Thompson's hands on a fast break. And then after that, we get Darius Garland drawing a flagrant foul on Tari Eason for 3 shots, and he misses the first 2, which Darius Garland, just so everyone knows, is a 90% free throw shooter. So I feel like if you told me what was going to happen in the game, I still would have bet on Darius Garland hitting all 3 shots and the Cavs winning 110-109. But that's not what happens, and there's a lot to take away from this one. But I think my biggest takeaway game-wise before I bring you in on the conversation is you could definitely tell tonight, especially with how well Fred VanVleet shot threes, how much this team missed Isaac Okoro and Evan Mobley.
Interesting that's where you're starting. I mean, Fred VanVleet obviously had a big game, particularly in the first 3 quarters. They really shut him and all of Houston's offense down in the fourth. But it was a little bit the individual defense. It was a lot of slow rotations off of that he got open shots on. But you're right. If you have an Isaac Okoro who is basically your cooler on for defensively for guards, you would have probably inserted him, and he'd have got 20 plus minutes tonight at least to slow Fred down.
Yeah, it was just kind of really irritating to see kind of that. And I'll tell you what, man, big picture of this game, I know they battled back and it's awesome, and I appreciate the effort. And they really probably should have won this with the way that we played in the fourth quarter. There was a lot about this game that really, really frustrated me. And I was going after the third quarter when they cut it down to 4, and then Houston goes in that 7-0 run to end the quarter. It looked like every time it was they would get close, they would start to go on a run. They would give the game right back away. And so this was one of those nights where I know we always have these conversations when they lose. It's the NBA. Bad things happen. But I feel like this is a game that, yes, healthy, I think they probably would have won, but you can't really do anything about that at the moment. And also, I think this is a game they really let slip away in a lot of circumstances.
Yeah, I honestly, I have a little bit of a different take. I don't think so much slipped away. I thought they got outplayed, and if Garland hit those 3 free throws, they would have stolen the game. But if you look up and down the stat sheets, they're a lot than the Cavs. The biggest things that stand out are rebounding. They had a 13-point edge in rebounding against the Cavs. You can say Mobley would have helped with that, but still, Houston is a team that has a lot of athleticism and a lot of size, and something that the Cavs can struggle with at times. And then the fast break points. It's funny, like Houston had, what was the final count? They had like 9 more turnovers than the Cavs, but they had double the amount of fast break points, which tells me even though they were creating less turnovers than they were giving away, they were creating those turnovers and just getting out and using their speed and athleticism and getting a lot more easy buckets. Because tonight was kind of a slugfest. Cavs were held 14 points under their season average. Part of that's Houston. Houston's one of the top defensive teams in the league. They're not OKC, but they're in the next group after them. And so kind of on a night where both teams shot poorly, the Houston created more opportunities for themselves between fast break points and by having the rebounding edge.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, you absolutely are. But, I just kind of felt like this was a situation where they definitely had their moments. And I think we're kind of making this our regular thing here, where we're talking about just individual players throughout the game. Another night, Jared Allen, really good. Again, went toe-to-toe with Alperen Şengün tonight, who also was really good tonight as well. Both guys had a double-double. Allen was 17-13, 3 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks tonight. Was a mammoth again, and 5 offensive rebounds tonight as part of his 13. So obviously, your typical night for Jared Allen that we're seeing of late. Kind of furthering into the conversation you and Skylar started early this week on after the Phoenix game with, trying to get making the case for 4 All-Stars for the Cavs, and Allen certainly making his case tonight without having his normal running mate next to him in Mobley. I thought that he was tremendous again tonight.
Yeah, Allen, he was definitely probably him and Ty Jerome, I would say, were the standout performers tonight. I know, Garland also had a big game, but obviously left it with a bad taste in your mouth there at the end. But I thought Jared Allen was phenomenal, as he has been for most of the last 6 weeks or so that we've been talking. Just about every game he gives them what they need. He's getting double doubles virtually every game. And then like pivoting to Ty Jerome, I thought Ty was fantastic on another game where you're out 3 of your top 6 players. Traditionally, like in rotation players, maybe 3 of your top 7, depending on how you split hairs. But they needed someone to step up, and if they were going to win this game against a very good Houston team, depending on the day, they're either in 2nd or 3rd in the Western Conference playoff rankings. And Ty was the one guy who I thought played much above, played far above average and had an excellent game tonight.
Yeah, Anaconda stopped and saying that one hurts, guys. This one hurts. Yeah, this is a bummer of a game. This is a loss that sucks. I for sure agree. Especially the way they fought back into it. Like Kevin said, yeah, you can certainly make the case they got outplayed. So, yeah, this one sucks. I completely agree with that one.
Yeah, and it hurts. I mean, it hurts to lose a game like that anyway, but especially they did get outplayed for the first 3 quarters. There's no doubt about that. And then they were phenomenal for a better part of the 4th quarter. We'll get into the reasons why in a second, but then to come all the way back and then kind of frankly fumble the late game execution between, a couple plays before it, but really the biggest sequence with Garland missing 2 of 3 free throws when they're down 2. And then Mitchell with almost 3 seconds on the clock to do a catch and shoot fadeaway in the corner. I thought you could have probably got a lot better final shot than that. It hurts when you don't play a good game and then you make a huge comeback in the 4th quarter and then you fall 1 point short.
Yeah, for sure. So I mentioned going into the game, Garland was a 90% free throw shooter. He was 3 of 8 tonight.
Yeah.
Very uncharacteristic. Yeah.
Very, very uncharacteristic. And on a night where he otherwise shot the ball pretty well, 3 of 6 3-pointers, 10 of 21 overall.
Yeah.
Just kind of a random, unfortunate anomaly tonight with his free throw shooting.
Yeah. So Anaconda's furthers. Mitchell taking back-to-back threes at the end didn't help either. Not a good shot. Yeah, I thought that was kind of like Kevin said, kind of fumbling that execution. couple things there that really kind of jumped out to me that really in that moment, and I know it really kind of ends up not really mattering as much considering what the actions were. They break the huddle in that last offensive possession. Merrill, not Strus in that situation. Thought that was kind of surprising. Not that Strus got the ball by any means or Merrill got the ball by any means, but felt like kind of the way that things have been going with how Max has been shooting of late. And you started Max, which I know he wasn't great tonight by any means. But I thought that was kind of a surprising move there as well. And then, yeah, I mean, I thought that, Darius kind of had a good look there. And I know it's just kind of a weird situation, but there's just a lot down that stretch where with how well they played to get back into the game, like you said, how phenomenal they played for about 9 minutes there. It just kind of looked really confusing there.
Yeah, it did. And I mean, to your first point, I didn't really mind Strus not being in the game because, to be honest, Strus had he had like three good games in a row at the beginning of this month, and he thought, okay, he's finally back. He's got his legs under him. But then, I mean, this was like his fourth kind of subpar game in a row. He's shooting 30% over the last 4 games. Most of those shots coming from 3, virtually all of them. So, and he frankly didn't have a big impact on the game tonight. I thought, so I was okay, especially, I mean, Merrill was definitely a part of that comeback in the fourth quarter. He made a couple key defensive plays. He had a couple buckets. So I didn't mind that as much. But I mean, in all actuality, you're trying to get the ball to either Mitchell or Garland,
Right?
Most probably Mitchell. And I think you could have. I'd rather had him come to the ball at the top of the key because he'd have a chance to catch and take a dribble or two to get a little better, much better shot than he ended up taking.
Yeah, especially because Houston had a foul to give there as well, and so I thought that was kind of the way that they called that plan, where he was kind of just stayed at the end of the court, was kind of surprising.
Yeah.
All right, so where do you want to go with the game here? Because I feel like there's a lot that we can discuss here.
So we can go positive first, and so I thought like the fourth quarter, obviously positive 19-0 run. I think the biggest thing, more than even anything they did offensively, Kenny went back to the zone that they play, and that is what they played the zone. I think virtually the whole 19-0 run, and frankly, their zone works really well against a team like Houston that's not as good a 3-point shooting team, would much rather try and aggressively get to the baskets, and also isn't the biggest team that you worry about giving up rebounding, though they did get out rebounded tonight, as we covered. So I really appreciated kind of, whether you say the fight and the execution to get back in a game where you could have just folded and said it wasn't your night. I thought that was great. As I said, I thought Ty Jerome was fantastic. Jared Allen was fantastic tonight. And then on the other side, they, tonight was the night they definitely showed they're missing 3 key guys, especially one of their all-star level players, because they needed a couple other guys to step up in a bigger way to win this game, whether that was one of the guys off the bench having, a 15-point game. I mean, other than Ty Jerome, or they needed Mitchell and or Garland to go off the way they did the other nights and end up with 30 plus. And unfortunately, none of those things happened, and they scrapped and clawed to make it a game. But overall, I mean, the thing is, I'm kind of somewhere between, like, I guess I feel kind of neutral about it, but just to point it out, it was another really bad shooting night. In fairness, as we said, they're missing some guys. Houston is one of the best defensive teams in the league. I do think they settled at times, didn't get good quality shots.
Yeah.
I thought Ty Jerome was getting the best shots of anybody on the team tonight. And when they did get quality shots, they didn't knock them down. I mean, they again shot under 32% from 3, and this was a team at the beginning of the month that was shooting 42% from 3, and they've had several games that are kind of now dragged that average down to about 39 for the season. So, overall, a lot of positives for the performance in the fourth quarter. And, but, just they didn't do enough on a night where they were shorthanded.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I mean, and also kind of, not to kind of piggyback on the negativity, but another frustrating shooting night for Donovan Mitchell. We talked about the obviously 2 shots at the end of the game there, but 7 of 21 overall, 1 of 8 from 3. I didn't necessarily feel like he was forcing it until the end. I really thought that, I thought he just wasn't hitting shots, but
almost every one of these games, it's when they put athletic wing with size on him. Like most of the game tonight, Thompson was going. I always get the two brothers confused. I think it's Amen Thompson, right? On Houston. And he's a fantastic defender, and he's athletic enough to stay with Mitchell, and then combine that with his size. Like it's the same profile of player that's as a primary defender that seems to give Mitchell so many problems. I thought in the first half they got Mitchell on the move a little bit more, whether it was pick and roll and getting to the baskets, and then the second half he was settling for a lot more contested jump shots.
Yeah, I think that's 100% fair to kind of say. Just not another one of those nights where it just wasn't his night, but otherwise I thought defensively he was pretty solid. I thought he did pretty well there. As Skylar's not here tonight, so I figured I have to go ahead and make you mention that he was the team leader in plus minus tonight at a plus 19. And there's only 2 guys that were double digits, so him and Dean Wade. So want to make sure Skylar in spirit gets that recognized as well. But yeah, just kind of one of his nights, like you said. So Ty Jerome, really, really good tonight. Kind of kept them alive. 3 steals as well. Was really, really active defensively, cutting in the passing lanes. Another weird 13-minute night for Tristan Thompson where, he didn't score, but he kind of had some okay moments. I mean, he did have 3 assists tonight, so kudos to him for that. I did, at the end of the game, obviously they have him there to rebound with Jared Allen for when Şengün's at the line in the slight case. So, that was interesting.
But as you talk about Tristan Thompson, I think tonight is a night that highlights some of the vulnerabilities of this Cavs roster. Because Tristan Thompson and Georges Niang, as good as Niang's been this year, they do not match up with Houston.
No,
like
not at all.
They were both, I thought, very ineffective. I thought Merrill also was kind of ineffective till his last spurt in the fourth quarter when he had those couple buckets. They as much skill and basketball IQ as they have coming off their bench, they don't have the athleticism. Not many teams have the athleticism that Houston does, but really as much as a lot of NBA teams. And I thought it kind of highlighted their deficiencies a little bit.
Missing Evan Mobley hour. Hopefully we get Evan Mobley hour on Friday. Hopefully Friday in Philly we have him back. So that's the hope right now, because I guess the conversation is it's more precautionary than anything. Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to figure out more things we can highlight before we kind of get to Friday as well. But
the other guy who honestly, I don't want to sound like I'm picking on him because I think he had a solid game. But if you'd asked me going into the night who needs to step up, I actually would have said Dean Wade, because it's probably unfair pressure on Dean that he is the one guy that is 6'9" athletic perimeter player when a team like Houston has 5 or 6 of them.
Right.
But I thought he could have been a key to a victory tonight, in the sense that if he could have neutralized some of the guys on the other team, taking advantage of his matchups. And he had a very solid game, don't get me wrong, but I probably was hoping for a little bit more than solid tonight out of him.
Me too. Yeah, I completely agree with that. So yeah, hey, no Isaac Okoro, no Evan Mobley, no Karis LeVert, no perimeter. Your perimeter defense definitely takes it at that point. Shit happens. I mean, crap happens. I've done that 2 nights in a row now. Oh my god, I'm gonna owe a ton. I'm gonna get so many fines. Can we just talk real quick? I mean, I know we're not blame the ref guys. We're not. This is the ref's fault that they lost this game by any means, but the consistency tonight was not there, I would say. and specifically the Shangoon play on Allen that we talked about to start the show, where he full on shoves him, and they say that that's not flagrant contact. And then what was the other call? So Kenny has that challenge at the end of the game that they call, which I didn't really mind that one as much, but I could have seen it going either way. So maybe I'm contradicting myself with that comment, but you can't blame the refs for like Darius Garland missing 3 free throws. I agree with that, and I never will. But you also can be definitely disappointed that it looks like there was a moment there where they really took the game out of your hands.
Yeah, and I've said on this podcast before, a referee can cost you a play; they don't cost you a game.
Right.
But the other thing that they can do, which I think happened tonight, and it's not even so much like this team got screwed or that team got screwed or one particular bad call. They didn't really have. I hate to use the word control, but like control of the game. Like things because of the inconsistency that you mentioned. And what that leads to is a very jumbled, unorganized last few minutes of the game when things get really tight. And that's why you have to review 4 or 5 calls in the last 3 minutes of the game. And why, it's one of those things when everyone has their hands up, right? Within, a single play, there's like 3 guys on each team with their hands up because frankly, they don't know what the referee's going to call, kind of based on their performance tonight. So yeah, I'm not a blame the refs guy, not the game they lost, but if anything, you could say the refs were responsible for the end of game being so disjointed as either team was.
Yeah, I completely agree. Anything else on this game before we discuss Philly?
No, I mean the only other thing I was really going to highlight, and I know you brushed on it, was Mitchell. I mean, it's almost becoming consistent now that when they play these very athletic, very big teams, he's struggling consistently. To the point where I think it's now time that the Cavs have to take some kind of. I'm not saying action take Donovan Mitchell out of the game, like it's crazy. No. I'm saying run a little bit different offense, change substitution patterns. So he's maybe, he can get some minutes against when the primary defender, the best wing defender on the other team's on the bench. Like I said, maybe put him in more pick and rolls. It's Garland doing a lot more pick and rolls than him, but something to free him up and get him off of those guys. I mean, I'm not saying he can't beat and score against guys like Amon Thompson or Tari Eason or Cam Whitmore. They have like just loads of these guys on Houston.
They're all like the same prototype player, like
for sure. But I do think it's at the time now where this is becoming a consistent enough problem that the Cavs and Kenny, I'm putting it on Kenny Atkinson as much as I am Donovan Mitchell. Like it's time for a counter move to get Mitchell better opportunities and to be able for him to be more productive when they go against teams like this.
Yeah, I agree. Because if you look at these 2 games he's had of late where he's been really, really good, Indiana, Indiana, Andrew Nembhard's guarding him, and that's a guy where he can kind of fully take advantage of the matchup with his abilities. And I really like Andrew Nembhard, so that's not me insulting him. Phoenix, Devin Booker for sure has left his defense in Paris this past summer. He did not bring it back to the States with him. So in that Phoenix game when he was kind of matched on Mitchell, or Tyus Jones was matched on Mitchell, sometimes Ryan Dunn. Those were matchups he was able to take advantage of. And like you said, yeah, I agree. So you go to this Philly game this week where you never know who's going to play. I mean, you literally we could go to this game and be like all 3 being, and I guess Embiid's not playing. We know that. But, Maxey, George, Cody Martin could all play, or none of them could play. And you just never know anymore. So it's like, it's hard to prepare for. But there are definitely favorable matchups for Donovan Mitchell against the Sixers that I think we can take advantage of. And I think, like you said, those high screen pick and rolls, those dribble drives, those dribble handoffs where he can cut. I think these are situations where you can really take full advantage of Mitchell kind of getting more active and getting him better shots. So I think once you kind of get that in there, it's going to be okay.
And the reason this is important, it's not so the Cavs can win even more regular season games. This is for the playoffs, because when they go into the playoffs, they're going to play teams that have multiple guys that are that type of defender to go up against Mitchell
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. So I was looking ahead. So Philly will have 3 days off come Friday. They last played last night in Denver. It was horrible. They lost 144 to 109. Kevin, this was their starting lineup last night. Tyrese Maxey, Eric Gordon, Paul George, Kelly Oubre, Andre Drummond. So Tyrese, you know who their second leading scorer was in this game?
I don't. I didn't watch that one.
Lucky you. It was Gershon Yabusele with 22 behind Maxey's 28.
He's had as good a year as anybody on that team.
Yeah, he really has. So obviously Cleveland's already played this team. They've already beat them. Like I said, the only thing we know is Embiid's out for another certain amount of time. I don't know. A lot of people seem to be thinking he was ducking Jokic, and you can make the case that might be true or not. I don't like to do that, but the hell his season's gone for him. Who knows? But I feel like this is a nice chance for the Cavs to bounce back. And I know I say this a lot when we have these next games, we do these next game previews, but you're going to have plenty of opportunities against this team who obviously is extremely underperformed, is not healthy at all. The last time you played in Philly, they had Jared McCain, and he had that incredible game. He's out for the year now, so you can take advantage of that situation. Yeah. This is a game you really, I don't like to say must win necessarily, but it's one you certainly need to have in your back pocket and figure out a way to put it together.
Yeah, I agree. And kind of just, I guess, wrapping up my point about Donovan Mitchell and the type of teams he struggles against. 3 of the next 6 games, not in order, but they play Houston again Saturday night, and then in short order they play Atlanta and Boston. Those are 3 teams that have the type of defenders that that Mitchell struggles against. So assuming he plays and the guys on the other teams play, those are 3 games I'm going to really key in on what Donovan Mitchell does, not only from a stat perspective, but how he looks in the game, what the quality of shots he's getting, the aggressiveness, the playmaking. I think those 3 games are 3 that I would really pay attention to him and see hopefully a little bit of improvement from how it's been lately.
Yeah, and I mean, so you're looking at Atlanta, it's probably Jalen Johnson, DeAndre Hunter, Boston. Yeah, you got a lot of guys there. Drew Holiday, even specifically, who is not necessarily in that size you're talking about, but is a guy who really likes to have those head-to-head matchups. Derek White. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out.
Well, the first matchup against Boston, they actually put Jaylen Brown on Donovan Mitchell.
That's right.
Quite a bit. And then Brown was out in the rematch that the Cavs won. So if that is what they do, and I would say Dyson Daniels on Atlanta gave Mitchell fits in the back-to-back they played earlier this year. And then we obviously saw what Houston did to him tonight. So those are 3 games I will definitely kind of key in on and hope to see a little bit, more efficiency and better production from Donovan.
Yeah. I don't ever worry about Donovan Mitchell. I think I get, but we are seeing things where he's obviously number one on the scouting report for every team for a reason. And you're seeing that Cleveland's got to really figure out how to balance that in this game of chess. So yeah.
Yeah, but in fairness, some of it, the last few games has been because Evan Mobley is out.
Yeah.
But when, the fifth starter spots and a lot of the guys off the bench, Ty Jerome and Karis LeVert definitely do a little bit of like playmaking and stuff, but like usually those other guys are guys you can put, your average to lesser defenders on and don't have to worry about it. If the Cavs had one of those type of players, a big athletic skilled wing, the other teams would have to match up defensively with their guy to match that. But because the Cavs don't do that, they can kind of, adjust their defensive matchups to put that defender on Mitchell and basically give him fits a lot of times.
Yeah. So we shall see how it lines up, but hopefully they kind of get that thing figured out soon. We should figure out now in the next little bit, where his all-star status is. So that's going to be there as well. I know we looked into Skylar Texas tonight to tell us that tonight was basically going to be the deciding factor potentially on who would be the coach of I guess you can say the Eastern Conference team. One of the two head coaches in the All-Star game was whether if the Cavs won or the Celtics lost. And right now the Celtics are down 1 to the Clippers, but the second quarter just started. They're in LA. So we will have to wait and see for Friday what the result of that as well. So that being said, we'll go ahead and close out this edition of the Block the Shot to Stop. Better days are ahead, and we're looking forward to just getting back on it on Friday. Myself and Scott will be here Friday for that game. So looking forward to seeing how the Cavs respond. But thank you all again for tuning in. Shout out Anaconda for hanging out with us tonight with some really insightful comments to get the conversation going. We definitely appreciate that as well. If you are just checking us out for the first time, whether it's on YouTube, Facebook, or your podcast app of choice, please take a moment to give us a subscription and a nice review to help us fight the algorithm and get our name out there as well. So on behalf of Kevin Lynch and Skylar Webker, this is Tim Daniel. Have a great night, and we shall see you on Friday.
All right, go Cavs.